now locked into the 18-Wheeling Podcast.
Hey, Eastbound, you got your ears on? About a few miles past that chicken coop around Yardstick 324, you got a city kitty taking pictures.
A podcast for truckers by truckers. So sit back, hammer down, and turn the volume up. And remember, it's not just a brand, it's a lifestyle.
And it's another episode of the 18 Podcast. I got my guy on here, man. We're gonna kick it about something that we need y'all to know, man. It's about this freight brokering. You know, we got so many other things we could do in trucking and make money, man. We got recruiting, dispatching. You could be a company driver. Hell, you can even be a fleet owner. But today we're gonna talk about the freight broker and the freight broker and business, man. We got my man. I got his name saved under Vegas Jones, man, because he talk real slick, but he got a lot of knowledge to him, man. What's good, man? What's good?
What's up, 18 Willie, man? How you doing?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. Can you please help him on the freight brokering game, man? Because you know a lot about it, brother.
Well, I mean, I'll definitely share what I know, man. First of all, it's some hard work, so you got to be diligent and got to be digging in. But, for starters, the easy part is just going to the FMCSA, and, it's about $300. You can go right on there and look for what type of MC you want. And the type of MC you want, if you want to be a freight broker, is that you want to be a broker. Be careful not to choose like freight forwarder or some of those other options, but that's what you want, is to be a broker. It's basically like getting an MC for a trucking company. It takes less than 30 days. It's required that you have a $75,000 surety bond. And, you have more options if you got better credit.
Mm-hmm.
But even in a bad credit situation, I mean, there are companies out there like Jet Surety who will actually let you make monthly payments for your surety bond. But on top of that, you're still going to need a $1 million policy. You're going to have to still have that $100,000 cargo, because most shippers aren't going to give you freight if you don't have that. It's not required by the FMCSA, but it's just like with the trucking side. You only need $750,000 insurance policy in order to get the MC number. But nobody's gonna give you freight without $1 million and $100,000 minimum cargo. So it's the same rule that applies. So but that's the easy part. The real work comes in when it's time to find the customer. You got to find somebody who needs the freight moved, and they want to work with somebody who they feel is reliable. So that's the part right there, man. That's you got to really be on your toes and digging in for. IndustryNet is one of my go-tos. When I had my business, to literally find shippers, that way, because you got to be able to go in here and find different manufacturers, different companies, and it also depends on what type of freight you want to move.
So can you give them an insight on what how you was doing it, just in case somebody don't? Because I was surprised when you told me. I'm like, damn, man, I didn't know it was that much money in the game doing that.
So the way I started, with a trucking company. So I was literally driving the truck, I had my own MC, and I was on the general freight side when I got started. However, I knew that there was a world in the agriculture side, but I just never really got into it on the trucking side, but I got into it on the broker side. The reason why I went into agriculture was because it was less competitive. You had less everything going on. You got a lot of double brokering. You have a lot of other things that are going on the other side that you don't have on the agriculture side. It's just less competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that just made sense. I got in, actually, believe it or not, my first and my best customer, I actually got them off of TikTok, just following other truckers, and there was a trucker that was at one of the shippers, and man, just that quick, I called him up, got set up, and I started running freight with him.
Damn.
In my opinion, the agriculture side, the rates are higher than what they are on the general freight side. The loads you're gonna see on DAT versus bulk loads, it's gonna be higher paying rates.
Mm-hmm.
So, I like that sector better. I did. It was a different world. It was good to me, while it lasted. But the same rule applies. You don't have the actual truck, so you gotta constantly be getting more and more shippers in the pipeline to haul freight for. And you just gotta remember, you're not the only one out there, but if you want it, I mean, it's work out there. You can actually get it. You just got to be willing to work. You gotta be on the phone. I'll be honest, it's harder than having, in my opinion, than having a trucking company.
Why you say that though? The work, because of the work you got to put in, or the hours that you got to, like, the sweat equity, huh?
Well, I mean, the thing with trucking is once you get an MC and you get set up, you can go straight to a load board as long as you got the credentials. You can go and get a load a lot easier. Wherein on the broker side, you have to acquire the customer and get the customer to get the loads to actually give out to carriers. So that is to me, in my opinion, is more work. It's more work and less work at the same time. So it's more work as far as getting the shipper, but when it comes to getting the freight moved, that part is just easy because I mean you don't have your time. Your time as far as acquiring the customer. Yeah, you got your time in, but it ain't the same as you driving a truck across country to get it from A to B, because you don't have to deal with that part. That's what the carrier does. All you do is get the freight. As long as the freight is available, you got the rate, you got everything set up, and then at that point, you just you kind of manage your carriers and make sure that your carriers are taken care of. So that's why I say it's easier, but it's actually harder because you gotta without the freight, then nothing happens. But with a trucking company, you can be no freight today, but tomorrow going to load board it, then you going down the highway.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't, in my opinion, it don't work the same on the freight broker side. Because if you don't have a customer who's gonna give you some freight, you don't have no freight.
So I want to ask you this, OG. How much? So I'm just getting. I want to get in the game and be a freight broker. How much money do you think I need to start off with?
In my opinion, you don't need a lot of money because if you're using a factoring company, then that's what you're gonna use to pay the carriers, and then you don't have a lot of expenses. Your expenses are insurance, which you figure. I know my general liability and $1 million policy. My whole cost of running the business was roughly $2,000 a month. That was paying for cell phone bill and everything.
Damn.
So you don't have the flat tires and the fuel you got to pay on a daily basis that a trucking company would have. So in my opinion, unless you're trying to pay carriers yourself, you don't have to have the kind of money that you need. You need some money because you got to be able to float the business. So if you got, I think 20 grand would be a really good cushion because that'll give you time to pay for the insurance and literally work on getting the customer. That's the key, is getting the customer. I used JD Factors, and they were just telling me though, they were like, man, congratulations, you got your first load. And I'm like, okay, cool, And they was like, man, you should be proud. And I'm like, well, I am, but I ain't satisfied. And they were saying, you would be surprised how many brokers, people who get started, they never get their first load.
Damn.
So, and that's what they told me.
Yeah.
And they were like, man, dang, this is really good. You got your first load and you're rolling. So, yeah, it's in my opinion, it's harder. Somebody else may say different, but in my opinion, it's harder to get going than having a trucking company. The trucking company, you got to have more cushion and money for just breakdowns, and you got to be able to pay for fuel and that kind of stuff. And the insurance is higher, Where in the freight broker side, you got to be able to weather the storm until you get those loads coming in. Because without any loads, you ain't making no money.
Yeah, yeah. So I want to ask you this: being in a freight brokering business, can you tell them, because I know we got the topic on money right now. What's the biggest loss that you've ever took as a freight broker?
The biggest loss, I guess, not having enough customers to get freight from, because I didn't really experience losses. I really didn't. My thing was is that so being a trucker, I didn't want to give somebody something that I didn't want to haul. Like,
Yeah.
some brokers, they be, oh, it's $1.20, and it's like, they gonna tell you all day long how it makes sense. Having owned the truck and knowing what it is, if the money, and that's what happened with me. I had a lot of freight options, but I was just like, I mean, ain't no money in this, so why would I offer this to somebody? This is
Hmm.
something that I wouldn't haul. So I had plenty of options like that, but the really good options, like when I was showing you those rate cons where I was able to pay $10 a mile, that was good, but it was short lived. But
Hold on.
that was the kind of stuff that.
Hold on, OG. Hold on. See, I wasn't gonna tell them, but you told it. I'm telling y'all, for y'all listening, $10. This is the highest mileage I ever seen a truck make. No matter how it's split, $10 a mile, y'all. Like when I was doing my owner operating thing, I got a load for like $5.75, which was cool. I thought I hit the lottery. When you said $10, OG, I'm like, he lying. But you showed me. It was you,
Yeah, I know.
you showed me though, and I was like, damn, that's crazy. And you not even just one. It was multiple bills that I saw, and I'm like, damn, that's valid. So I was
Oh yeah,
already that opened my eyes. I said, man, we gotta lock in and do a podcast on this shit, man.
oh yeah. January 2024 was, man, that was a great one, man. I mean, I think the least paying load I had out to the carrier was about $3 a mile, and that was going from Kansas City to Stockton, California. But all that short run, 100-mile stuff, you saw it. And man, hey, it was great while it lasted. But one thing too, the carriers on the ag side, they not gonna haul nothing for that $2. This not gonna happen.
Hmm.
250, 275. They not gonna do it. But people haul stuff off of DAT all day long, $1.50 a mile.
Why
And
are they doing why are they doing that right now? This 2025, and you telling me that they hauling stuff for $1.50, $1.75. I know I know what you're saying is valid, but why? Why are they doing that?
I think it's two reasons. Number one, if you got somebody who hadn't made good money before, and they just coming in, and then they got bills, because if your truck and all that stuff ain't paid for, you racing against the clock. So you got to get some money just to keep everything going. So I
Hmm.
think that's part of it. And well, I think that's the biggest reason, because I truly believe if the freight sat, they would have to offer more money to get it moved. It's just that simple. I believe that's the biggest reason. A lot of people saw trucking on the internet, and it was people from all walks of life jumped in, and with no experience, and they saw a number that sounded good without actually putting pen to pad, and basically everybody else got paid but them.
Yep.
Because I can't see how you gonna really operate a truck for nothing less than $3 a mile. I think that's gonna be hard to do in order to pay yourself and pay everybody that's got to be paid. And owning a trucking company come with incidentals. It's always something unexpected that you didn't have to pay for. So, when I had mine, I averaged between 320 and 350 a mile.
Hmm.
But now, mind you, this was between 2020 and 2022. Yeah. So during that time frame, I know rates were, that was the the height of my owner operator time. And and as I saw the rates go down, I started moving different.
Yep.
I was like, ain't no way I'm going across country, I'm just not gonna do it, especially when I've made almost twice the money in the past. So, but if you've never made that before, then you may think, oh, this is good, and then so you go out here and run it. So I think that's the biggest thing. Truckers not all on the same page. Um, I think that's one business that most any other business I've been in or anything that I do, you set your price and then either they bought it or they didn't. With trucking, it's not really like that. It's based on how many trucks are available, which don't make sense, but that's kind of how it's done.
Mm.
So if it's 10,000 trucks over there, they go offer peanuts for the freight because there's a lot of trucks available. If ain't no trucks over there, then they gonna be paying all kind of money just to get somebody over there. So
Supply and demand. For
I
real.
also think now, man, you got to be in a really good pocket, like maybe hauling fuel or like I saw some loads. Well, I didn't see them, but I was told uh, on the ag side, like they had some. I think it was organic corn, it was stuff like that that was paying roughly like $80 a ton. That was some pretty good money. But I think you got to be in specific pockets now. I think just the general side, from what I've seen, it just looked like the rate still ain't, I wouldn't want to go get in it now, especially on the general side and want to operate a truck unless I was in one of those areas.
So what lanes you think that's good right now for somebody who interested in being a freight broker? What lane would you point him in as far as the sector of trucking?
I mean, I still say the agriculture side, but it's the same rule applies. You still got to get the customer. You got to get the shipper. You got to get on with the shipper. And sometimes you can call at the right time when maybe somebody just dropped the ball, and then you can step right in and do a good job, and then they'll work with you. So it just depends on you're not gonna get told no every time, but you got to go through all the no's to get to the yeses.
Yep.
So I think with the broker, you got to be versatile. You got to go get you maybe get hooked up with load match and get container loads. You probably would need to work in all sectors in order to give yourself the best chance in order to keep some customers, because that's just the nature of it. Like the produce and stuff, that's getting ready to come up, in a few months. Well, that'll be busy. Then when that slow down again, you got to find something else. Look at the fuel sector. It's usually more opportunity in the summertime than it is any other time, because that's when it's an overage of fuel. But like right now, it's gonna be hard to get in, or in my opinion, it'll be hard to get in on that type of freight right now.
That's game right there. That's game right there. Because a lot of people
So
they're not even thinking about it. And I think the season too, because a lot of people travel during the spring and the summertime. So you dead on with that one.
yeah, so all those things, and that's the thing with being a broker, you can spread out. Now I didn't really try to, and maybe when I look back, maybe I shouldn't have, but I didn't really put too much energy on the general freight side, because when you talk to a shipper and it's like, wow, you're the 10th broker that's been called me today, that tell you right there, it's a lot of people like tapping into the same people trying to get some freight.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go over here and they was out, like you the first one that's done caught them in a while. I mean, I don't know, but I found that to be the case on the general freight side. It was like, wow, I already got, I got a list of brokers, which I don't like to be on the list, because now in that case, you trying to compete basically
Prices.
for the cheapest price to the bottom once again.
Yeah.
So, so it takes some work, but having the customer is the key. Because if you got them, then everything else will fall into place. If you got, If you got shippers, then it's gonna be easy getting trucks. That's gonna be the easy part.
So you made your connections just like you said, TikTok was a good resource for you, just cold calling and all of that. So you damn near for real, you have to really want this shit. You can't just be sitting on your hands and thinking it's gonna come to you. And I'm talking to the people that's listening. That's with
Yeah,
anything. Take
this is
work.
not a thing where you run an ad, for freight and somebody call you up to see what your rates. It don't work that way. You got to really be digging in and looking for people, and getting signed on with different companies. And you're gonna need a lot of them, because some of them they may call and give you the opportunity. And then too, like I said, I had companies that they was offering the freight, but the rate wasn't there. So without the rate being there, it was just hard for me to move it. Case in point, right? I had some boric acid one time going from. Well, I never did get the load because I couldn't get nobody to haul it. And you needed a pneumatic trailer from Phoenix, Arizona to Houston. And the broker was like, "Hey man, I'm trying to get this under 4,000. Do you think?" So I'm willing to make. I just wanted to get the load. I couldn't get nobody to touch it for $3,800, and it's 1,000 miles. On the general freight side, that would have been gone 10 times. But
Yeah.
not on the agriculture side. You couldn't get nobody to touch that.
I want
So
why was that though? Is because of the
I think
hassle?
I think two reasons. Number one, the money, and number two, certain areas, certain equipment is available, and some is not. You know,
Well, hell, it sounds like a good. What's that? You said 3,800, 1,000. That's $3.80 a mile. So
well, like I say, man, I tried it,
yeah.
and that was one shipper I just never got no business going with. But they was like, here, well, let's try it next week, and I'm just like, man, this. It's bad to get the load, and it's almost like make you wish you had, well, in that case, no. I wouldn't. I didn't want to drive. But the whole point is that that kind of stuff happens sometimes, or for me it did. And then I'm the kind of person, like I said, if I don't want it, then I don't want to offer somebody something that I don't want.
Exactly.
I want
That
a win-win situation. I want to get some loads that's paying good, and then I want to be able to pay somebody good, because now you don't have to worry about if you can get them again. You pay them good and you got their money to them on time, you ain't gonna have an issue with getting that truck to come back and haul some freight for you. So that's how I like to do it. And maybe if I had never been a trucker before, then I might have would have been like, hey, I'd have been like some of the brokers. They really selling the fact that this is good when it's clearly not good for the trucking company. It may be good for the broker and the shipper, but it ain't good for the owner operator.
and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I had to on this one because that was a gem. A lot of people that be in trucking, OG, they have to. I really feel like they have to go through the rankings to get to do certain jobs, like being a recruiter, being a dispatcher, being a company driver. First is this what you need to do, and then work your way up. Because a lot of people like that $10 shit that you just said. It was very true. But the thing about that is that's gonna strike somebody attention. They ain't never been on no other side of trucking. And then they just try to do like you have to know the geography, you have to know what the trucker is able to push. You gotta know all of these things, man, before you try to do it for the money. And like you said, man, a lot of people doing this shit for the money, and it's just like, man, that's the wrong reason. Cause you gonna get somebody the wrong load and they ain't gonna want to mess with you. With you being a freight broker, they ain't gonna want to come back to you. You said something
Mm,
key.
Yeah,
I
so
wouldn't what you say, OG, I wouldn't, and I got it right. When I talk to you, I have a pen and pad, man. Every time cause you be saying some shit, man, that really stick. I
what?
wouldn't give a load out if I wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
That's key,
if I
man.
don't want the load, why would I want to give it to? I don't even want it. So why would I want the load? I like loads that man. Yeah, let's do it. Okay, well, I want to give a carrier that same type of feeling, that same load. And when you can do that, it's a win-win situation. You making money and they making money.
Yeah,
I don't see nothing wrong with that. But you know,
yeah. Hey, I got a
and a lot of
question.
brokers, man, they'll just It's like the general freight side. I learned real quick. My questions used to be, is it first come, first serve, and lumper fees? Especially if it was food or anything food related, a lot of times it's a lumper fee. And these people will not tell you that information, just get you on the load, and you hear at midnight and he sleep, and if he ain't the type that's gonna answer the phone, it's the next day before you get this code that they need just to cover the lumper fee.
Yeah.
And why would you pay for this out of your pocket for this broker? Why? When you already know that you got to pay for it. But 90% of them not going to tell you, oh, yeah, by the way, it's a lumper fee. And you would think that why they wouldn't look like they would give you that code with the rate card. That would make it easier for the carrier. Why make him wait till 2 in the morning and you sleep? And you know what I'm saying? Now he's trying to figure out how to get this. Because, a lot of shippers won't even give you your paper back until you got they won't give you no load information. Here in Vegas, it's been a couple of times where I'm at the shipper and I can't get a hold of him. Man, I'll come back tomorrow. Y'all keep all that paperwork. I'm going to the house, go to sleep, and then I'll get up and come back tomorrow. And get the paperwork. I'll just come back in my car, and then you got the information for the lumper payment, and now you're good to go. Yeah. But that was something that I hated, so I learned real quick. Those was my 2 questions off the gate.
Yeah. Damn, man, I appreciate you for this episode, man, because it's well needed. Y'all got the game. Anything else we need to cover?
That was just my experience. I mean, I know there's people out there that know way more than me and been in it longer and all of that stuff, but that was just, what I learned and how it worked for me.
Well, hey, this is what we gonna do. Drop your information on TikTok to him. If y'all got any questions, y'all know who to go to.
No problem. Oh yeah, I'll share some information if I got the answer. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah, what's your handle on TikTok?
Oh, it's Leejo3.
LEEJOE, the number 3.
Yep, that's it.
Man, I appreciate y'all. I mean, I appreciate you.